Trout love to ambush unsuspecting minnows from below, pushing them tight against shoreline vegetation and the water's surface. Coupled with a floating, midge-tip, hover, or clear intermediate line, the foam minnow hangs up and away from snags and in plain view of hunting trout. These are the materials you'll need to tie your own school of foam minnows. So let's tie the foam minnow. To begin, we're going to use a number 10 R74 9672 mustad streamer hook. I tie these probably in 10s and 8s most often. This is a small minnow imitation. I've taken some 2mm sheet foam and trimmed a slip that's about the gape of the hook in width. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stab the hook eye through the foam at about its midpoint, both in length and width. Stab that through, slide it forward, and place it into the jaws of the vise. So with the foam stabbed on, I'm now going to glue it in place. I'm going to do this by using some gel type super glue, not the brushable liquid stuff, but the gel type glue. And I'm just going to lay a bead onto the hook shank. And you can see that holds its position. Doesn't run all over the place. And now I'm going to take my foam and fold it and give it a short pinch like this. Trying not to glue myself to the hook. And I built my foam underbody. And this is the kind of process you can do over and over and over again. Now I have to take the hook out of the vise, just because it's easier, and now I have to give it a trim so I'm just going to notch this out. I can come in, if I've gone too far back into the bend of the hook, I can just slide the scissors points up, and we're just going to trim. We don't want to trim away too much because we're removing flotation, and that's the purpose of this pattern. As built-in flotation, it's basically a buoyant version of Hal Jansen's famous epoxy minnow. And we're just trimming this on a bit of an angle, and what we're trying to do is trim it to a bit of an approximate minnow shape. And we're trying to maintain the buoyancy in the fly so we can work this around shallow structures such as beaver lodges, weed beds, and keep the fly up in the water column, because trout love to ambush minnows either around that the structure I talked about, the minnows or the shoreline vegetation. And also, they like to ambush from below. They use the surface as an edge, and they'll push the minnows up against that, herd them into a tight little ball, and then go in there and attack and snap up as many as they can. So it's just a rough cut, right? But don't be too aggressive. We want to try and keep as much buoyancy in this fly as we can. This thing isn't going to float like a cork, but it's going to stay up in the water column. And when used in conjunction with slow sinking lines or a floating line, midge tip, floating line, hover lines, clear intermediates, those are the lines I like to use. Now, we're going to attach our tying thread, and for the thread I'm using GSP, very strong thread, so I can get good firm thread pressure. I'm going to start this in right at the eye of the hook. Trim that off. It's time to tie in the body material. And for the body material, we're using mylar tubing or cord. And I'm going to measure about a shank length long section. Take a coarse pair of scissors, come in and trim that. I'm going to carefully remove the core. And then we're going to stab the mylar tubing, holding it in place with my left thumb and forefinger. The majority of it is protruding out in front of the eye. I'm going to go around once, twice, and with this GSP thread I am going to really cinch it in there and make sure it's good and tight right up against the hook eye. And then advance the tying thread back in open turns over the body and leave it at the rear of the hook. And while that's sitting there, we can give it a little dab of brushable super glue to further reinforce those wraps. It's now time to tie in the tail. For the tail, I'm going to use some of the soft, fluffy fibers from a single Grizzly soft hackle dyed olive. You can see, looking at the package, this material just makes great little minnow tails. I've just stripped away a little bit, and I'm going to use this clump here, and just like stripping regular marabou, I'm going to isolate a clump, and I'm just going to strip and fold, strip and fold, and I've got a nice gathered clump that I'm going to tie in. It's about half the shank length long, so I'm going to trim off a little bit in front that I don't need, and just secure that in place right at the back of this foam underbody. Good firm thread wraps. We've got a nice gathered little tail there. Get that one loose fiber out of the way. And now we're going to continue to form our body by pushing this mylar back over itself and folding it over the foam underbody. So we just start to push and do it gently and continue to push, push, and kind of a pushing and stroking motion to flip the mylar inside out, if you will. It's going to fray up, but that's no big deal. And we just stroke and gather as best we can all of those fibers, and then add our securing wraps of tying thread. Good firm wraps. You can see we've got a nice little minnow shape going here. And we're going to have a dark olive back on this. So what we can do is this thread will accept a different color, so I'm just going to darken the thread with an olive permanent marker, and we're going to whip finish the fly right at the back of the hook here by navigating that whip finish triangle, if you will, around the hook. Pull tight, disengage. Now you can leave those little fibers in the tail. I like to trim some of them out, have a little bit of flash if I can, so you just carefully come in, and this is entirely up to you. These fine point Montana fly scissors really do the job here. So again, I can just rotate that over. And again, this is purely up to you. A lot of times people probably just leave all these in here and it probably doesn't matter. I'd like a little bit of subtle flash. We got that going there. That's close enough. Maybe a couple more out on this side. Try not to remove any of the soft tail materials, if you will. And there we go. We've got a little bit of flash left in the tail. And now we're going to give the fly a little bit of coloration. So the first color I'm going to put in is the dorsal color. And again, using the olive marker, I'm just going to go back and forth. Give this fly a dark color like this. Turn the pen on its side. It does bleed a little bit, so we just go back and forth. And one option too is you can also color the foam a little bit, but this seems to work pretty good here. And this is probably my favorite color combination, is a dark olive back like this with black barring and little red gill stripes. So for the black, we're going to take a fine permanent marker or a fine Sharpie, and I'm just going to put a couple of dark bars in there. Again, you can match your local bait fish, but many bait fish have this dark dorsal surface and these sort of par marks, if you will, down the sides. And then we can put a little red gill slash down the sides, along the underside, and back up. You don't have to be an artist. I certainly am not. I can barely draw a stick man. Okay, we've got those nice minnow look to it. And you can see by folding this mylar back, it gives a nice blunt head, very reminiscent of a natural minnow. To create the eyes, I'm just going to use stick-on eyes. And the eyes on baitfish, I like them large if I can, so I think these are 2 millimeter. I'm going to fold the eyes down the middle, and this will help put a curvature in them that'll help match the curvature of the mylar body we've used. I'm just going to take a dubbing needle, take them off, and use the dubbing needle to transfer the eyes onto the mylar. Give them a firm pinch. We've got the eyes in place, and we're going to do the same for the far side. There's the other eye on the back of the dubbing needle. I'll rotate this over so you can see it, and again I just use the dubbing needle to transfer. Give them a good firm pinch. We want to add a little bit more to our red gills here. Don't overdo that. A little pinch just like that. Basically, the little foam minnow is complete. We just have to protect those eyes, and we can add a little bit of protection. We can secure a little bit of super glue. We can secure the thread wraps right at the base of the tail, and then coat the front head area and eyes just to protect them so they don't fall off. So I let them sit for a little bit so the marker has a chance to bleed off, and I think we've got enough time there. So for the eye coating, I'm going to take some of the many UV coatings out there today, but I like to use the UV clear fly finish in thin formulation. Okay, we don't want it thick. We want to just basically cover a light coat over these eyes. So I'm just going to take a little, using the brush applicator, just put a light coat over the eyes on both sides. And brush it around. It has nice viscosity, so it's not going to run all over the place. Just brush it around. Just like so. I want to really make sure we get a good dab on those eyes. We've got lots of working time, so we can just move this around if you want. You could use a dubbing needle to position whatever you like, the brush applicator, whatever's easiest for you. And then when we're happy with it, we just come in with the UV light and give that fly a quick cure. To dry those in place. And essentially that's the finished foam minnow. Great little pattern to use in the shallows or to use up near the surface. It's not totally buoyant, but it's basically neutrally dense, so it sinks very, very slowly. You have this little tuft of a tail, short erratic retrieve, and the trout really like this thing. It looks like the real deal to them, and they take it with confidence. For more information on fly fishing, and stillwater fly fishing in particular, please visit my website at flycraftangling.com. Here you'll find lots of information, including fly fishing tips, fly patterns, articles, dates on my seminars and schools, along with links to my blog and mine and Brian Chan's online stillwater fly fishing shop. You can also visit our store directly at stillwaterflyfishingstore.com. Please join the conversation on my Facebook page or follow me on Twitter. Thanks for watching, and please take the time to watch my other tying videos as well.